Alright, what's up guys and girls? How's it going? It's Else here. I'm bringing you my Stamina Nightblade build for the Summerset patch. I've been working on this for the last couple weeks now. Wanted to get something out, wanted to test a bunch of different skills, wanted to test the Sigic skill line, all that. And, you know, it's been kind of frustrating, as you guys can see in the background. The game hasn't been doing too well for that. So it's been a bit frustrating to deal with the lag, not gonna lie. But I think I know I have something that's solid, and then when when lag stops being as laggy as it is, we will be able to go out and play with it a bit more. This Stamina Nightblade build is going to be a lot like my ones in the past. It's not built around one specific thing. It's kind of a well-rounded build. You know, we have good healing, we have good survivability, we have good resistances, damage, sustain. Like it's a very well-rounded build, and well-rounded builds allow you to be more competitive against more people. The way the game used to be for Nightblades, all you needed was cloak and a lot of magica recovery, and you could just basically infinitely cloak away, move around, and they couldn't hit you, and you just do a ton of damage because you were stacked into damage and a little bit of sustain, and you know, you didn't need to worry about healing because you weren't getting hit. That doesn't happen anymore. You know, there's a lot of skills, there's a lot of sets, there's a lot of, you know, potions that are pulling Nightblades out of stealth, and, you know, I think against some groups you can, but in the vast grand scheme of things, I think you're better off, you know, adjusting the build to be more suited for everybody. So that was my attempt with this. If you like that, or if you're interested, let's dive into it. We're running the Master's Bow on the back bar, Nirnhoned, weapon and spell damage enchant. This is just going to give us the most weapon damage for a two-piece in the game. 348 plus 301 with poison injection. It's basically like having Clever Alchemist on our back bar. If you don't have this, there are other options. But this is the best in slot bow for bow builds in PvP, so still worth getting. I'm running Nirn because that buffs our healing as well, so I have Vigor on the back bar, so it's worth having it Nirn in my opinion. Front bar, we were running 5-piece innate axiom. We're running 3 body, all impen, and then we're running the sword. So the sword gives us our 5-piece on our front bar. If you guys haven't seen this set before, here it is. 2-piece max magicka, 3-piece max stamina, 4 pieces crit, and then 5-piece adds 400 spell and weapon damage to your class abilities. My front bar for this build is going to be all class abilities. So every single skill will be buffed by 400, which is why I'm running it. You could choose Hunting's Rage if you want, like if you're running Dawnbreaker of Smiting. If you wanted to run like the 2H Ultimate, there are options for that, but since we're running Incapacitating Strike on our front bar, this gives us our best flat damage. You could run other sets that proc more. You know, you could run the Truth set, which gives you 400 weapon damage as well when you dodge roll an attack, or you could just have it all the time. So that's why I'm running it this way. I'm also running double damage health poisons on the front bar. Right there. Very useful. Put a lot of pressure on people. Yada, yada, yada. 2-piece blood spawn. I tried a bunch of monster sets. I tried one Domi House. I tried one Selene, running the 2-piece that way. I tried Selene. I tried just the 2-piece Selene. I looked at other monster sets. Blood spawn I like the most. It gives us resistances. It gives us stamina recovery. We can build in our weapon damage in other places, so that's not a big deal. And the 2-piece is just excellent. So when you take damage, you have a 6% chance to generate 14 ultimate and increase your physical and spell resistance by 62.25. So when you're rolling VXing, this is going to have 30,000 physical resist and like 28,000 spell resist, this build. So we have really good resistances, but the best part is the ulti gen. So we get our in-cap back very quickly. It allows us to burst people down fast, and the quicker we can take people out, the less people are hitting us, and the quicker the 1vx goes. I didn't like Selene because I thought it was too slow, easy to dodge, easy to block. Wasn't as big of a fan of it. I preferred blood spawn, so that's why I'm running it this way. Like I said, 5-body axiom, and then the other set we're running is bark skin. I tried a bunch of sets here. I tried Bone Pirates. I tried Hulking Draugr. I was even going to craft, when I got my jewelry up, I was going to craft Shacklebreaker and try that, but Shacklebreaker is actually kind of close to Bone Pirates, close enough to be worth testing. And so the idea was running forward momentum, since it's a heavy armor build, and then running Troll King. But I felt like I was missing out on a decent amount of damage going that route, even though the healing would have been okay. And I wasn't as big of a fan of that. Bark Skin is just a really good set. I went to a bunch of things, tried a bunch of things, and I came back to Bark Skin. So here's the set for those of you guys who haven't seen it. Max health. We can get our stamina in other ways, so the health bonus is actually useful. Stamina recovery, very useful. Physical resistance is eh. The 5-piece reduces the duration of immobilizations and snares applied to you by 50%. So a 4-second snare is 2 seconds, a 6-second snare is 3 seconds. Turning something into a 2-second snare is very, very valuable. You can dodge roll. They miss attacks for that second while you dodge roll, and then you're snared, but then all of a sudden when you pop up, you're out of it, and you can still get the distance. But it's not just an immobilization and snare removal. It's also when an immobilization or snare is applied to you, you heal for 2200 health and restore 976 stamina. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. So this 5-piece, when you're 1vxing, turns out to 400 stamina recovery. So this is one of the better, if not best, recovery sets in the game when you're 1vxing. Now, just about every class is running an immobilization or snare. So if you're running across a sword and board build, and then they're running Heroic Slash, that's a snare. If they're running Tremor Scale, that's also a snare. Fear is a snare. Lotus Fan is a snare. Cripple is a snare. DKs have Talons and Fossilize. Those are immobilizations. The only class that doesn't really run a bunch of immobilizations and snares typically are Magicosaurus. And so if they're running mines and you hit mines, that's an immobilization. So that will be affected. Immobilization, Rune Cage will also count, but they don't run a ton of snares. But just about every other class does. Vampire's Bane is a snare. So when you're fighting everybody, you know, as long as you're getting hit by something every 5 seconds, which you are, you're probably getting hit with a snare, and it's going to proc this set. And so it gives us a lot of recovery when we're 1vxing. It gives us a heal, which is noticeable, so it buffs our healing. And on top of that, we have the snare removal. So because we can run this set, we don't need to run forward momentum, so we get to keep our burst heal with rally, which is very valuable for a stamina Nightblade in my opinion. Forward momentum's fine, but that burst heal to just get you back to full is better, if you can get away with it. And Bark Skin is just enough to get us away with it, so that's why we're running it that way. So for enchants, for those of you curious, max stam on the feet, prismatic legs, max stam on all the small pieces, prismatics on the big ones. So that's how I have it going. And then I'm running Barkskin Jewelry. This is going to be the change for Summerset. They're all infused with weapon damage. And the reason we're doing that is infused with weapon damage gives us an ever so slight amount more damage than max stam plus weapon damage. So we want to buff our output, our burst out potential. And so that's why we're going this way. So 262 weapon damage across the board. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go for this. As far as our Mundus Stone goes, we are running the Warrior, and we are running Lava Foot Soup and Saltreese for the consumable. That gives us, because we get a health bonus from Bark Skin, because we're running a few prismatics, this allows us to run our max stamina and stamina recovery food, so our sustain and our damage is better. And then because we have Bloodspun on, because we get so much recovery from Bark Skin, we're also running the Warrior Mundus to give us more damage. So when we look at this, at the character sheet, you guys are probably going to be pretty underwhelmed. We look at it, 21k health, 29,817 stamina, 3,100 weapon damage, 1916 stamina recovery. You know, the resistances are good. They're actually pretty solid. We buff up 24k physical resistance, 21k spell resistance, 2,600 crit resist. However, just about every aspect of this character sheet has some form of hidden damage, sustain, or whatever to it. So we get 6,200 more resistances with Bloodspawn. So our 24k physical is actually 30. Our 21k spell is 27. Our stamina recovery, we have 400 more stamina recovery because we're running the Barkskin set. So 1,900 is hidden. It's actually 23. When we take a pot, it's actually closer to 2,500 stamina recovery. So we have 2,561 stamina recovery, roughly. Our weapon damage was 3,100, but the weapon damage doesn't count the 400 for innate axiom. It's also not counting the 650 that we have on our back bar. So we have 650 plus the 400, that's 1,000. When it scales, we're looking at 43, 44, 4,500 weapon damage. So our max stamina is low. Our weapon damage is actually very high with all the skills that we're running. So I know it doesn't look like it's a lot, but it's hidden. So when you hit somebody with a light attack, poison injection, you ambush in, your front bar has an 8 axiom, you're hitting with 4,300 plus weapon damage. So very, very powerful setup. As far as our skills go on our front bar, incapacitating strike, these are going to be all class skills for damage because we want to utilize that 400. So incap, surprise attack, mass hysteria, rally, ambush, and killer's blade. Killer's blade we need to run because if we ran executioner, we wouldn't get the 400. Killer's blade is nice for different reasons. It is disease damage. So when you're executing somebody, the other small bonus that you get is because it's disease damage, you provide a potential chance to provide minor defile. So 15% less healing. Your in cap is major defile. You know, there are some bonuses to running it this way. Our back bar, leeching strikes, shadow image, shadowy disguise, poison injection, resolving vigor, and ballista. Now, I tried a bunch of things on this back bar. You guys know I tried Dark Cloak. That's what I was running in my 1vx clip that I posted last week. Open world PvP, I think the vast majority of people will like shadowy disguise more. I think it's better in more situations. The heal does come in handy, especially in 1v1s, against dot builds, against slowed builds. It's very valuable. But missing damage entirely is better than healing through and taking less damage in most situations. So I think that's the way to go, but Dark Cloak is actually pretty good. I will come out with a build utilizing Dark Cloak a bit more. Our health is a bit low to utilize it well. You know, we're at 21k. I think I would want to be around 25k health to really utilize that specific skill. But like I said, you get pulled out of stealth a lot. You got to use this in conjunction with other things. That's why Shadow Image is here. Shadow Image is, in my opinion, the best class skill in the game for Nightblades. If it's not the best, it's one of the best. You don't need to look at anybody anymore. You can just put it down, and what it does is you can go away from it, and then you can Shadow Image back to it. And so this allows you to be very kitey on a Stamina Nightblade. People are staring you. You're trying to run away. You jump off a cliff. You jump around a corner, and then you just Shadow Image back. And I got too far away there because I went down the hill. But you run to this, you bounce back, you cloak, and now they can't really see you. They don't know exactly where you're at. You can drop another Shadow Image, and you can get back into the fight and, you know, pick and choose your spots. So, oh, I didn't discuss CP. Sorry, guys. So CP, I'm going to roll through it quickly. 48 Warlord, 64 Mooncalf, 43 Tenacity, 42 Befoul. We're running in cap. We want that healing reduction. 51 Tumbling. We will dodge roll a lot. 2 into Shadow Word because that's what we had left. 37 Blessed. 61 Master at Arms for our direct damage attacks. We have a lot of them. 64 Mighty, 26 Piercing, 31 Precise Strikes, 31 Thaumaturge, couple dots. 52 Ironclad, 30 Resistant, 49 Hardy, 49 LA Defender, 23 into Thick Skin, 47 into Quick Recovery. That's the end of the CP. That's the build. Like I said, guys, I tried a bunch of things. In general, I went through it, and I came back to Barkskin, and then I started building around Barkskin and the Master's Bow. And so it was Barkskin, Master's Bow, and then it was Nate Axiom, and then it was Bloodspawn. I think this is a pretty solid build. I think I think you'll have success against the vast majority of people. You won't have to ignore tanks. You won't have to ignore Templars. You won't have to ignore Magicka DKs. You won't have to ignore Slodes builds. You know, you have the tools and potential to kill just about anybody, which is good. I mean, I think that's what you want when you're trying to 1vx. And I think, you know, the way the game is going, you can't just use Dark Cloak like you used to be able to survive, or Shadowy Disguise. So you need to have other survivability things, and that's why we're running Shadow Image. So that's the end of the build. If you guys have any questions, please comment in the section below. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.